have a question, and I know this question sounds like it was born somewhere between a science documentary, a panic spiral, and a very suspicious cup of coffee. But stay with me. What if black holes are not endings? What if they are origins? What if everything that falls into a black hole does not just disappear forever? What if somewhere else somehow it comes out as the beginning of something new? And what if our universe, all of this, the galaxies, the stars, the planets, the atoms in our body, the phone in your hand, the spoon you somehow lost even though you live alone? And what if all of it began as the other side of a black hole? And I know that is a lot. This is the kind of question I would like to ask Neil deGrasse Tyson. Not casually either. I would not just walk up and say, "Hey Neil, quick question." No. I would sit down, lean forward, and say, what if we're not unable to find white holes because they do not exist? What if we're unable to find them because we're looking for the wrong thing? Because when we talk about white holes, most people imagine them as the opposite of black holes. A black hole pulls everything in, a white hole pushes everything out. A black hole is a cosmic drain, a white hole is a cosmic fountain. A black hole says you may enter, a white hole says you may leave, but you may not come in. Very exclusive, very dramatic, probably has a velvet rope. But here is the problem. We have found black holes. We have evidence for black holes. We see stars orbiting invisible massive objects. We detect gravitational waves when black holes collide. We have even imagined the shadow of a black hole. Black holes are no longer just a theory sitting in a notebook looking mysterious. They are real. White holes, though, not so much. White holes appear in the math of general relativity. That part is true. But math allowing something does not automatically mean nature built it. The universe is not obligated to use every item in the physics menu. So, under current science, white holes are still hypothetical. No, confirmed white holes have never been observed. And that should be the end of the video. Except it is not. Because my question is not just, are white holes real? My question is sharper than that. My question is, what if they are real, but we are too trapped inside our current way of thinking to recognize them? And I love that question, because the laws of physics are not just laws like traffic laws. The universe did not sit in a courtroom and agree to obey Newton, Einstein, and quantum mechanics. The laws of physics are a best description of what the universe seems to be. They are models, powerful models. Models so accurate that they can put spacecraft on another planet and predict black holes collision across the universe. But still models, and sometimes models break. Newton's physics worked incredibly well. Then Einstein came along and said, actually, gravity is not just a force, it is bending of space-time. Newton was not useless, Newton was not stupid. Newton was just not the whole story. So when people say that breaks the law of physics, sometimes what they really mean is that breaks the version of physics we currently understand. And that difference matters. Because black holes are exactly where our understanding starts sweating. Inside a black hole, gravity becomes extreme. Matter is compressed beyond anything we can recreate. Time behaves strangely. Space behaves strangely. And at the center, our equations point towards something called a singularity. A space where density becomes infinite. A place where the math basically throws its hands up and says, I did not get paid enough for this. That is where the real mystery begins. Because most scientists do not think an actual infinite point is a comfortable answer. Infinity often means the theory has reached its limit. It's like your GPS saying, turn left into the ocean. Technically, it gave an answer, but you should probably ask better questions. So what happens inside a black hole? We do not know. And that is not a small we do not know. that is a giant glowing universe sized we do not know. General relativity explains gravity beautifully. Quantum physics explains tiny particles beautifully. But inside a black hole, you need both at the same time. And right now, those two theories do not fully fit together. That means black holes are not just space monsters, they are testing grounds. They are places where physics itself may need an upgrade. So now, let's return to the wild idea. What if black hole is not a final grave? What if it's a seed? Some speculation theories suggest that black holes could create new regions of space-time. Sometimes people call them baby universes. The idea is not that you fall into a black hole and arrive in a cute little parallel Earth with better weather. No. If this idea were true, it would be much stranger. From our side, a black hole forms when matter collapses. But from another side, that collapse might look like expansion. What looks like an ending here could look like a beginning there. And suddenly the Big Bang feels different. Because we usually imagine the Big Bang as the beginning of everything, not an explosion in empty space. More like space itself expanding from an incredibly hot, dense early state. But then the question becomes, why was the universe in that state? Where did that state come from? Was it the absolute beginning, or was it the other side of something? Now, to be clear, we have not proven that our universe came from a black hole. We have not proven that every black hole creates a universe. We have not found a label on the cosmic microwave background saying, made inside a parent universe, do not microwave. But the idea exists because the question is real. What happens when matter collapses past the point where our known physics stops working? Maybe it ends, maybe it evaporates over unimaginable time. Maybe information is preserved in a way we do not yet understand. Or maybe collapse does not end in destruction. Maybe it becomes expansion somewhere else. That is the debate. And this is where your star idea comes in. I ask, what if stars are not white holes? Stars are white holes. Because stars shine outward. They release light. They release heat. They seem like the opposite of black holes. A black hole hides light. A star gives light. A black hole pulls matter in. A star radiates energy out. It feels poetic. It feels right. But under current physics, stars are not white holes. A star is powered by nuclear fusion. Hydrogen fuses into helium in its core, releasing energy. That energy pushes outward while gravity pulls inward. A star is not a place where nothing can enter. Matter can fall into a star. Stars have surfaces or outer layers. They form from gas clouds. They burn fuel. They age. They die. So, and that's a big if Neil deGrasse Tyson heard, are stars white holes? I think he probably would say, no, but I like where your brain is going. And honestly, that is the interesting part. Maybe stars are not white holes, but maybe they reveal why we want white holes to exist. Because the universe seems full of opposites. Collapse and expansion, darkness and light, gravity pulling inward, radiation pushing outward, death of stars, birth of stars, black holes swallowing, the Big Bang expanding. We keep looking for balance. We keep asking, if something goes in, where does it come out? And maybe that question is wrong. Or maybe it is the question that opens the next door. What if the opposite of a black hole is not a star? What if the opposite of a black hole is a universe beginning? Not an object, an event. A white hole might not be something sitting in space like a glowing ball. It might be something that happens, a release, a birth, a sudden opening of space-time. And if that is true, maybe we have been searching the sky for the wrong shape. Maybe we expected to find a white hole as an object. But maybe the closest thing to a white hole was the beginning of everything we know. The Big Bang. Again, it's not proven. But worth the debate. Because if a black hole is a place where space and time collapse inward, and the Big Bang is a moment where space and time expand outward, you can see why people ask the question, could one be connected to the other? Could our universe be inside a black hole from another universe? Could every black hole be hiding a new beginning we can never see? This is where the idea becomes almost uncomfortable, because if that is true, then our universe might not be the main event. It might be a child universe, a branch, a result, the inside of something that from the outside looks like a black hole. And if black holes in our universe also create new universes, then reality might be reproducing through collapse. That sentence sounds illegal, but think about it. Stars collapse, black holes form. Inside black holes, new space-time may begin. Those new universes may form stars. Those stars may collapse, more black holes, more universes. The universe becomes less like a machine and more like a family tree, a very violent family tree. Now, how would we ever prove something like this? That is the hard part. Because if another universe exists inside a black hole, we probably cannot send a message into it and get a reply. Once something crosses the event horizon, it cannot send information back to us. That is the whole problem. So we cannot directly look inside. We have to look for clues. One clue might be in the black hole behavior. If black holes are not exactly what general relativity predicts, maybe gravitational waves could reveal it. When black holes merge, they ring like a struck bell. Not with sound, but with space-time. Gravitational wave detectors can read that ringing. If the ringing is slightly different from what our models predict, that might suggest new physics near the event horizon or inside the black hole. Not proof of baby universes, but a crack in the wall. Another clue could be the cosmic microwave background. That is the oldest light we can observe. It's like the baby photo of the universe. If our universe came from some previous collapse, maybe the early universe would carry patterns from that birth. Tiny fingerprints, strange asymmetries, unusual structure. But this is dangerous territory because the early universe already has many possible explanations. You cannot point to one weird pattern and yell, parent universe. Science does not let us have fun that easily. Another clue could come from quantum gravity. If someone builds a theory that successfully combines gravity and quantum mechanics, and that theory naturally predicts black hole to universe transitions, then we would take it seriously. Especially if it also predicts something we can test. That is the key. A beautiful idea is not enough. A scary idea is not enough. A clickable idea is definitely not enough. The idea has to risk being wrong. It has to make predictions. It has to say, if I am true, you should see this. That is how science separates imagination from discovery. And this is where I think the real beauty is. We do not need to say white holes are real. We do not need to say stars are white holes. We do not need to say the Big Bang was definitely a black hole's other side. We can say something better. We can say, maybe our current laws are incomplete. Maybe black holes are showing us something where they fail. Maybe white holes are not objects we missed, but concepts pointing towards a deeper physics. Maybe the Big Bang was not the first sentence. Maybe it was the sentence we entered the story on. Because that is what science keeps doing to us. We think Earth is the center. Then it is not. We think the sun is special. Then it is one star among billions. We think a galaxy is everything. Then it is one galaxy among billions. We think the universe is all there is. And now we are asking, is it? That question is not foolish. It's not anti-science. It is the beginning of science. As long as we keep one hand on evidence and one hand on wonder, we are allowed to ask the dangerous questions. So, if I had Neil deGrasse Tyson in front of me, this is what I would ask. Neil, what if we are not failing to find white holes because they are impossible? What if we are failing because we are expecting them to look like objects when they may look like beginnings? And I imagine he would pause. Maybe he would correct half the wording. Maybe he would absolutely ruin my drama with accuracy. But I think even he would admit that is a question worth sitting with. Because black holes already prove that reality is stranger than common sense. They bend time, they trap light, they turn space into a one-way road. So maybe the next question is not what do black holes destroy? Maybe the next question is what do black holes begin? And maybe white holes are not waiting somewhere in the sky. Maybe the greatest white hole, like event we have ever known, is the reason there is sky at all. Maybe the Big Bang was not a beginning from nothing. Maybe it was an exit. Maybe our universe is what happened when something somewhere else crossed the line it could never return from. So here is the question I cannot shake. If black holes are where our universe loses everything, and Big Bang is where our universe gained everything, then are we living in creation or are we living inside the aftermath of something else collapse?